Hello everyone, long time no see. Know it's been a while since I've uploaded a video, but now I'm back. I wanted to bring forth a topic that I've been thinking about for a while, and that is how people protest for climate change. I'm sure you've seen this on the news a lot and on social media, but there's been various climate protests the past few years where climate protesters have been gluing themselves to paintings, blocking traffic, even protesting at various sport championships, such as the World Snooker Championship last year. And so there's a variety of publicity stunts that have been occurring all across the world in protest for ending climate change. And my initial impression and reaction to these protests is that I get it. I understand that with everything going on in the world, it seems like there still isn't enough awareness and activism and enough, of course, action that is done for ending climate change and doing enough to make sure that we aren't destroying the world so fast. I understand why protesters will glue themselves to art or even throw paint at art because they believe that many paintings, of course, a lot of what art is depicting the natural beauty of the world. And it seems like something that is inspired from the real world, from nature, is getting more attention from the media and from people than the actual nature itself. And it's kind of frustrating that is not getting enough attention. But I believe that this is not the way to protest for climate change because the main thing is that it does two things. One is that it scares people away from joining the cause in the first place because they see the people who are protesting for climate change as crazy or irrational, or they just don't want to be associated with that group of people. And two, in some cases, actually can turn people against the cause, which is exactly what you don't want if you want a lot of people organizing together as a global movement to fight this issue. Let me give an example of what I mean. Take, for example, back in November of 2023 in the country of Panama. Environmental activists were protesting a controversial mining contract that the Panamanian government had granted to a Canadian mining company. This had caused protests all over the country, and in one instance, at a traffic blockade set up by protesters, two environmental activists were shot and killed by an elderly man because of how upset he was of them blocking the road in protest. And yet, while the activists were, of course, causing a traffic jam to bring attention to the issue, which I know would upset some people, this does in no way warrant any murder. And yet, in the comments below in the video that I was looking at, you can see people praising the man for committing this heinous act. While this is an extreme example, many climate activists have been seriously hurt and injured from cars ramming into them or being assaulted by bystanders. Again, with commenters and public figures praising the violent actions on these non-violent protesters. Examples like these demonstrate the public's frustration and fed up attitude with these protests. The common public is not at fault for being forced to participate in a society that contributes to climate change. The elites and billionaires who pull the strings and lobby behind the scenes for society to be as free market as possible with little to no regulation at the expense of the environment are at fault, and we should be targeting them and protesting against them for what their actions are doing. So the entire point of organizations like Just Stop Oil are not even hitting their target of what they are hoping to achieve. So how does one effectively protest for climate change? Well, if you want to make a grand public statement, what you're going to want to do is target the conferences and events of these big oil CEOs and the politicians that represent them, since they are the main stakeholders of the issue. In this video, the organization called the Sunrise Movement had some people prank a few representatives who have been documented to take in hundreds of thousands of contributions from the oil and natural gas industry. Their ability to put the politicians on the spot and embarrass them while also educating the viewer about how much they have taken in funds is a great example of effective protest. In this other video, these protesters went to an awards ceremony honoring ExxonMobil CEO Darren Woods and called him out for the evil that he's a part of. The incident embarrassed the CEO, disrupted the event, and brought awareness to everyone in attendance at the event and to those who were watching the video about how evil Darren Woods is. Now, personally, I am not as brave or courageous as the people in these videos that I just showed, but I still think there are a variety of ways that you can protest and be an activist for climate change. One of the first and most simple things that you can do to be an activist for climate change is simply to talk to people that you know about the issue. This could be friends or family or coworkers or just strangers on the street that you just met, and informing them about the danger of climate change and what it is in general. But another great idea to do when you are advocating and protesting for climate change is that oftentimes many people, when they look at the issue of climate change, they see it as too big of an issue to handle. It's a global issue. Everyone is involved. Everyone is a player. And so it's easy to get lost in the complexity of that issue. But I would say that big changes that occur can only start because of small changes that happened first before it. And you have to have enough small changes and small steps to eventually transform that into a big leap. And so oftentimes it's best to look at a more local perspective. Maybe you can look at more what you can do with in your region, your county, your city, your state, your town, work from that up. And so that can mean a lot of things, but oftentimes it involves organizing. So this could mean organizing a small trash cleanup within your neighborhood. And then if that works out very well, you can expand it to surrounding neighborhoods and eventually maybe your city or town that you live in. If you're a college student like I am, you can set up various sustainability talks. You can invite experts who are involved in fighting climate change to talk about what they're doing. So there's a variety of things you can do as a college student if you are one. You can set up a peaceful protest if you want, and you can organize all the people that you know to protest something that you disagree with when it comes to a certain environmental issue within climate change. The possibilities are truly endless, but it's important to remember that, of course, not everyone wants to go into a leadership position, and that's understandable, but you can still get involved in many other ways. You can still volunteer for the events that are organized by other people or organizations. There are a variety of nonprofits, whether it be local to global environmental nonprofits that need donations. So you could donate your money if you have some spare change to donate to those organizations. But the important thing to remember, and I really want to hone in on this, you have to create a goal that enables positive action and brings positive awareness that attracts people to your cause and not pushes them away from that. Remember that.